Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Ringside Rundown Podcast. My name is Erik Vasquez, and joining me on the line is my podcasting partner in crime. She is the best tag team partner in all of wrestling podcasting. She is Shay Hickson. Shay, what's going on, my friend?
What is going on? Nothing much. Just another Tuesday in Pittsburgh. Yeah, it's just another Tuesday. Nothing too
this
remarkable, but
when you get to that age where it's just like, what do you do today? Oh, I went to work and I came home, ate dinner, and I went to sleep.
yeah,
That's basically life as an adult these days in
yeah,
our neck of the woods.
yeah. Except you throw in going to the gym, so I mean, at least it's
I don't I,
something. But
I don't even do that, so you're doing more than me. But I did want to say thank you for that awesome action figure, the Eddie Kingston action figure that you sent
yes,
me. That was awesome. I woke up because I had a tough night's sleep, so I woke up in the afternoon and there's this box right there on my dresser. I'm like, what in the world? I open it up and I was taken aback. It was so cool. I got it on
yeah.
my shelf and everything. So thank you very much.
Of course, we figured you would like that. Like I said, we were at the collectible store I always get my stuff from, and they always have a bunch of wrestling figures. And they had Malachi's. I don't think it was his first one, or it might have been where he had like the black shirt, like dress shirt, the black, like I think his debut look essentially. And so we saw that, and we're like, well, we have to get that because we don't have it. And then we saw Eddie, and we're like, nah, we know who would like that. So
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. It's awesome. It's
of course,
definitely on the shelf with all my other collectibles, and it looks great. So thank you so much.
yeah, anytime.
All right. So if you haven't gathered already, we are a pro wrestling podcast where Shay and I like to talk pro wrestling. And the way we usually do it is we let you guys send us in some questions about topics that are happening in the world of professional wrestling. But for this episode this week, it's going to be more of a topics episode like the ones before, where we're going to talk about AEW Forbidden Door that happened this past Sunday. And then this coming Saturday is WWE Money in the Bank. So we're also going to give our predictions about that. So it's going to still be a chocked episode full of wrestling banter, as they say. We're definitely going to dive deep into the massive AEW Forbidden Door card that had like 15, 60 matches. It was insane.
It was too much.
It
It
was
was
too much.
just
Yeah, it was.
For a Sunday night pay-per-view, that's the problem. If it was Saturday, you could kind of get away with it because it's like, okay, well, you can sleep in Sunday, but like
Yeah.
many of us, and me, when you have to wake up at 5:45 and the show barely ended at midnight, then that's when you get into some trouble.
Yeah,
And ugh,
maybe Tony should consider, if he's not willing to downsize the size of his pay-per-view cards, maybe he should consider having them on Saturday nights.
something because it's just like, well, the worst part is that I feel like honestly, at least sleep wise, it would obviously matter like what day you put it on, but
Right.
you're still going to have 14 matches on
Mhm.
a card, and it gets very old very quick, and you get tired, and you're like, oh God, it's already like, how bad was it that we were what 2, 3 matches in, and I'm like, oh God, it's been an hour, and we're only 3 matches in out of like 10 on the main card. So I'm like, great, it's gonna be
Yeah.
one of those nights, and it
Yeah.
was one of those nights, but
I mean,
ish.
it was a decent show. It's just the thing is, like, for people often confuse quantity with quality. They think the
Yeah.
more matches on the card, the more you're going to get, the more bang for your buck, basically.
And that
Um,
is not the case at
yeah,
all.
that's really not the case, because it's just
Yeah.
like you spend $50, and the $50 you spend, you got to get through a bunch of muck to get to the good stuff, to get
Yeah.
to the Swerve versus Osprey, the ladder match, Orange Cassidy, Zack Sabre Jr.,
Tony.
Mercedes, yeah, and Tony Mina. That's where the meat was in the pie,
Yeah.
but you had to get through a lot of filling to get there. But we're gonna talk about it in detail. Like I said, there's a lot. I'm just looking at this card right now, looking at my notes, and I'm just taken aback. But it
Yeah.
started off. We're only going to talk about the main card, so that's a big plus, because we only have a limited amount of time. So we're only going to talk about the main card. And trust me, there were plenty of matches on the main card.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
there was there was a lot. It's
yeah.
just God.
So the show kicked off with MJF taking on Hechicero, who was representing CMLL. Um, I enjoyed the match. Again, the only note that I could make was that it was a pretty fun match. I do enjoy Hechicero's work. The ending came a bit abruptly, like it just
Yeah.
happened. He hit him with the brain buster, and then bam, that was the 3 count, and he got the win. Um, the only thing is like there was a reason like this match was announced and people kind of raised their eyebrows. It's nothing against
Mhm.
Hechicero, who definitely had a great showing. It's just again, it's a pay-per-view match. It's MJF's first pay-per-view since his injury, you
It's
know,
hometown.
yeah, in his hometown, and like you gave him Hechicero. It
Yeah.
honestly it looked like he didn't even want to be there. Like
No,
he kind
no.
of felt like he was just going through the motions.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, it wasn't a bad match. It was pretty decent.
Yeah.
It's just like nothing really that I can remember that was too memorable except for, like you
Right.
said, the ending where I'm just like you blink, you're like, "Oh, it's over already? Okay. Great." But it's just still killing me how that first promo back, MJF's like, "No more funny stuff, no more this, no more that." And yet continues to do the funny chicken shit stuff. So it's just like, okay, so clearly you clearly went back on your own word, but it's just like whatever. It was just yeah, it was weird. Like you can't it just came across as just strange. That's really the only thing you can say. Like you said, it's his hometown. It's his first match back after losing the title all those months ago in his hometown at
Mhm.
World's End, and that's what you gave him?
Yeah. Yeah, again, it's no disrespect to Hechicero. The match, I rated it at 3.25 stars out of 5 because again, it was still a really solid match. There weren't any hiccups or anything like that. It
No.
just felt like Hechicero was gonna fight a losing battle. We all knew MJF was gonna win, and MJF was just kind of going through the motions of it all.
Yeah, I gave it a 3. It was good, but it wasn't like, "Oh my god, I remember every single detail of it."
Right, right, yeah, it was one of those.
Yeah.
All right, so next up, we had the Elite, the Young Bucks, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, and Kazuchika Okada taking on the acclaimed and Hiroshi Tanahashi, known as Scissor Ace.
God.
Yeah, and it was okay. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't get Max Caster's rap. I just felt like
They're
he
just his
he's
raps
trying
aren't inspired really anymore.
he's trying too hard to be like an edge lord, like
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
yeah, he's just trying. You could tell he's trying too hard to be like, I'm gonna use topical meme stuff in my raps. Like
Yeah. At
you know,
least he make, like, a good point, though, of the whole, like, you're killing Okada's career, essentially, where I'm like, "Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, not
that
wrong there,
yeah,
but"
through the sea of bitch in the
Yeah.
freestyle,
Yeah, literally.
there was that one good piece where he did bring that up, where he thought the Young Bucks were killing Okada's career, which is pretty funny. The match, though,
Mm.
I made a note saying that probably could use this one as a dynamite main event for me. Um,
Yeah, it pretty much was a good indication that not even the crowd gave a shit about it when they were doing
right.
CM Punk chants.
Yeah, that wasn't good. That
Not a good
that
sign.
that wasn't good. The bit where Okada is pretending to be a DJ was pretty funny though. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie. Because again, I made this point on Twitter where people are complaining like, oh, Okada's now a comedy wrestler. Nakamura's
Mhm.
not really doing nothing. Look what they're doing, this and that. I look at it as like these guys, the New Japan style, they're known for having 30-35 minute matches on the regular and just beating the hell out of their opponent, getting the hell beat out of them, that they come to the States and it's almost like this is easy money, you
Yeah, this
know?
is just like light work.
Yeah, this is really light work. So that's why I'm kind of enjoying Okada now in AEW, and I'm not looking at it like he's comedy wrestler. I'm looking at it as just like he's actually actively trying to better a different part of his game, the entertainment part of his game, rather than the wrestler who's like gonna go down as one of the greatest Japanese wrestlers of all time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point because
Yeah,
I know some people are really souring on it, but it's not even just him. It's just this whole EVP Young Bucks thing. No one's
right,
really caring a whole lot. Ergo, the CM Punk chance in the middle of the match.
right.
It's not working, and
You
we're
know
not
what
going to
it
see
is?
the end of it anytime soon, though.
Yeah, you know what it is too is that the idea to attack Tony Khan was executed great. The
Yeah,
idea to attack Kenny Omega was executed great. So you really felt like, okay, these asshole EVP angle thing is actually got some legs to it. But
yeah,
now for like the past couple of weeks, they really haven't had any issue in terms of an authority figure opposing them. They're just flexing their authority
yeah.
muscles, messing with Swerve and messing with this person, but it doesn't have that weight of drama behind it.
No, it's just more comical than anything, and it's just not. It's kind of like the whole learning tree thing. No one really gives a shit about it, and they're
Mhm.
just trying to be over the top and campy with it, and it's just not. It's
Right.
not working.
Yeah, and to see Hiroshi Tanahashi in that shape was
Yeah.
was not fun. That man, it
Yeah.
looks like his kneecaps stay in a perpetual state of lock, like they
Yeah.
don't bend or anything like that when he walks,
No.
which is crazy. As far as the match, I gave it 3 out of 5 flames, but I really feel like I was just being respectful.
Yeah, yeah. I think you and I were on the same wavelength there because I was again. It was three. It was just like it's fine. It's there, but another one of those two matches to start off the show of wow, this could have been on Dynamite, but we got it on
Yeah,
pay per view instead.
yeah, definitely, definitely. Next up, a match I was looking forward to was the American Dragon Brian Danielson taking on Shingo Takagi. I was looking forward to this match because I remember what they've done in the years past. So this was like their second meetup, and
Mhm.
for me, this match was interesting. It had a very very slow kind of build up, and then things got physical. Brian was able to do his usual, "Oh my god, I think I broke my neck spot," which he really didn't, you
Yeah,
know?
it's just it's a little overused at this point. Let's just say it because it's just like once they did that again, where he's hobbling out of the ring. Everybody on Twitter was just like, he does this every fucking match, so it's
Yeah,
not really that believable anymore. But
yeah.
because I
I
mean, it's like it's just this is the kind of stuff that really just doesn't make me buy into the whole oh he's gonna go back into title contention he's gonna win a title before he's done because it's just like okay, it kind of just starts to become comical and overdone when this man clearly supposedly has no neck and continues to wrestle with a neck that doesn't exist. So it's just like at some point something's got to give and it's just yeah. So that was kind of dumb, but the match itself was fun. It was I mean, they kicked the shit out of each other. That's the
Yeah,
easiest way to
yeah,
put it. They were not holding back. They were just letting it go and it worked that way cuz Takagi was essentially manhandling Danielson for most of that match,
really was, yes.
but yeah, it just takes that one little move and it's all over. Uh, but yeah, I'd say out of the three matches we had to start the show, this was probably the best one up into that point. So that's good, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
yeah,
exactly what I noted. I said, it had a slow start, but it got very physical down the stretch, and I thought, just like you said, I felt like this match itself, was definitely pay-per-view worthy. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 flames.
yeah, I would
Yep.
have done the same.
Alright, so we're already on the same page. Let's see if we can keep it going.
No,
Um
we better for this one.
All right. So next up was both of ours. Definitely, this match was up there in terms of matches we were definitely looking forward to. It was timeless. Tony Storm defending the AEW Women's World Championship against Mina Shirakawa from Stardom, Artist of Stardom champion, I believe.
I
She
think
is.
so.
Yeah, they have a
Maybe.
they have a million championships there, and they all have very interesting
Yeah.
names. But Mina Shirakawa is great. This was very interesting because not only was it for the world championship, but it was for in a way
The
kind of
heart
like
of Mariah
yeah,
May.
the heart and affection, because that's the thing. I don't think Mariah wanted to lean one way or another. She just wanted some cohesiveness
Mhm.
between the two. She wanted there not to be any friction. It was like you and I were talking in DMs. It was like introducing, the new girlfriend to the parents. You want to,
Yes.
you want everybody to get along, you know
Yeah.
so it wasn't that sort of power struggle, but it definitely was interesting. And I really really enjoyed this match. I love that Mina was attacking Tony's knee. I
Yeah.
thought that was a great game plan to show that despite all of this romantic drama that was going on, this was still going to be a wrestling match. So they used some wrestling psychology. I just wish it went a little longer.
Yeah, that's it's a good match when we're like, "Damn, this could have been another, like, 5, 10 minutes," but,
Right.
they made Mina look like they said during that promo a couple weeks ago, this was Tony's biggest test, and it lived up to that because she barely made it out of that match
Hmm.
with her knee also and her title. Um, I remember when I was watching it live, I'm kind of like, why isn't Mariah like doing anything? Like try and make some drama in the match and whatever. But then afterwards and with everything after the fact, and I thought about it more, I'm like, maybe she didn't need to.
Right.
She could just sit there and I mean she definitely was like nervous. You could tell she was like sitting down, standing up, moving, sitting down, like she was antsy.
Right.
But I'm glad that we all got a happy ending and Mariah said, "You know what? Why not both?"
Yeah.
And she got
Yeah.
both. She got her
Yeah.
mom, she got her girlfriend, everyone lives happily ever after now. It was great, Nigel was crying. It was just it was good. It was really good. That kind of storyline could have gone south real quick,
Right.
but the three of them made it believable and continue to make it believable because those videos after the fact backstage were just wild.
Yeah, they were. And
Fun.
the thing is, it's like it's edgy, but it's not edgy in the sake of like it wants shock value, if that makes
Yeah.
any sense. It's different. You look at it and you're like, oh well, three beautiful women kissing each other. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
The male chauvinistic part of me comes out and I'm like, hell yeah, I want to see that. But it's really not even that. That is just like a small, like minute part of it. It's just Mariah was sort of mentored by Mina Shirakawa while they were in Japan working through Stardom, and they became
Mhm.
champions together. She comes to the States and now she's being mentored by Tony Storm and then her old mentor. It's like, how would, your old mentor and your new mentor look at each other in the same room? It definitely
Yeah.
would be awkward. But again,
Yeah.
yeah, the match was great. I gave it 3.25 flames out of 5.
3 1/4.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm a little stricter with my ratings.
this is where we finally differed. I gave it 3 3/4 flames.
Oh wow, okay, you were up there.
Yes, because this is
Yeah.
the match I wanted to see, and it delivered. And it sounds so rude because like we say it all the time. We don't want to feel like we're dogging AEW, but there's usually a good chance that AEW does not stick the landing when it comes to these stories.
Right,
So
yeah.
the fact that they stuck this one, I'm just like, thank God. Just thank God. But
Yeah.
no, that was again up until Danielson Takagi. This has been the best match of the night up
Yeah.
until that point. But yes, I'm glad everyone is happy now. There's no more drama. There's no more tension. Poor Mariah can actually like not have a heart attack every week,
Right.
which is all we want. We just want Mariah to be happy, obviously.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Because again, I say it every week, every time we talk about Mariah. I look at her and I'm like, there's no way you're a real person. Like,
No,
yeah,
no.
there's no way a real person looks like that. It just
Yeah, it's just like it's not fair.
it's not fair at all. But as Taz would say, I digress. We move
Yeah.
on. We had Zack Sabre Jr. taking on Orange Cassidy. And man, what a match this was. It was no different than your typical Orange Cassidy match, but
Yeah.
Zack Sabre Jr., this dude is, in terms of being a technical wrestler, he showed then and there why he is the best technical wrestler in all of professional wrestling. I mean,
Hmm.
that finishing submission move, it wasn't even like a move you can name. There was no name for it, because
No.
he simply was like, I'm gonna twist you up here. Oh, look, I can also twist you up here. Oh, look, I can twist you up here at the same freaking time. This
Yeah.
was just insane to watch. I just don't get it. I mean, Orange Cassidy's Orange Cassidy. His whole thing is, I'm gonna put on a good match with my eyes basically half closed, and
Yeah.
that's what he does, and he's very, very good at it. So it was just, to me, it was a very, very enjoyable match.
Yeah, unfortunately though, we had to see the continuous like spiral for poor Orange because
Yeah,
it's these subtle differences that you're noticing too, where it's like, "Where's My Mind" came back, which is a good song, which is like
right.
it fits Orange, but now you're seeing the darker denim jacket, the darker denim pants, the
Mm.
shirt's not white anymore, it's black, and even like the video like Titantron stuff, it's just a strip of white paper. It's mostly black now, so it's like, oh God, what else does he have to give? Because this he might just snap. I think at this point he might just snap.
Oh, maybe old Orange is heading down a darker path. I mean, Trent left him and joined
Yeah,
the Don Callis family. Stokely Hathaway finally was able to get into the mind of Chris Statlander and completely
yeah,
change everything about Chris Statlander. Like,
yeah.
change it completely. Chuck Taylor can no longer wrestle anymore. Orange Cassidy is by himself, you know?
Might be blood orange now.
Ooh. Ooh, blood on.
Hopefully still like good though, but more like anti-hero good, not bad. But
Mm. Wow.
yeah, he can't take much. He can't take much else. I don't know. I mean, he's handled more than I could handle. I could tell you that.
Yeah, definitely. I gave this match 3 1/4 flames out of 5. What about you?
I gave it 3.5.
All right, not too bad. And then we had a match that I know you were looking forward to, probably the most out of all of this.
Uh-huh.
Uh
Same
was
with you. Same with you.
Oh, you know me so well. We
Uh-huh.
had we had the triple team of Samoa Joe, Hook, and Katsuyori Shibata taking on the Learning Tree, which is Chris Jericho and Big Bill, with a special guest to fill in for Brian Keith in the name of Jeff Cobb. Um, this was something.
This was a dynamite match.
Yeah, yeah, and that's exactly what I said. I said another one that I would have probably looked great as a Dynamite or Collision main event. So
Maybe even Rampage.
yeah, or maybe Rampage, it would have been perfect. And
Yeah.
that's the thing about this Forbidden Door concept. And you realize with the Forbidden Door concept that they're trying to do this whole, oh, it's Forbidden Door season.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, now it's a season, almost like WrestleMania season. So in that case, why not make everything seem like a big deal? Like all of your dynamites, all of your rampages and collisions have some sort of Forbidden Door vibe to it, where you can put these matches on those cards, and then
Hmm.
you shrink your pay-per-view card for the most important matches that are going to make you money and keep people paying attention to your pay-per-views, and they're going
Yeah.
to feel like they got their $50 worth. Not only that, but they'll feel like they invested enough time if they watch your program on TV, because then again, like you said, we can get that match that we've been kind of wanting to see between Hook, Shibata, and Samoa Joe against the Learning Tree. Again, this match was, it wasn't bad. I gave it
Eh.
3 out of 5, and
No.
again, and we all know how I feel about Chris Jericho and anything a
Eh.
Learning Tree or whatever. I think I saw somebody made a stat, so, and it was on Twitter, so I can't really check the validity of it, but they said Forbidden Door pay-per-view had all the matches felt like, well, most of the matches had some sort of Chris Jericho-esque contingent to it.
Mm,
from the past.
mhm.
I don't know how true that is looking through the card, but they it was some weird stat that showed like Chris Jericho had his fingerprints on a lot of people, you
Yeah.
know, or it might have been like every Forbidden Door has at least one Chris Jericho as contingent from it, something like that. But it's just like
Yeah.
thankfully, I think what made people say this match wasn't that bad is that they love the idea of Samoa Joe, Hook, and Shibata together, and possibly seeing Samoa Joe and Jeff Cobb in a one-on-one situation.
Yeah, we kinda talked about this in our pre-production meeting. I said, it's probably not good that I don't remember much about this match, if any.
Right.
I remember, they did the "Please retire" chants again, which is not good. He tried to play into it. It didn't work very well. For some reason, there were some there's somebody in the crowd chanting, "You still got it," and then, like, 5,000 people behind them were like,
No, you
"No, he doesn't."
don't.
So I'm like, "That's not a good sign. That's
Yeah.
not, 'Oh, we wanna see you' kinda heat. That's go away heat."
Yeah.
I I think the only thing that genuinely shocked me about this was the fact that Jericho actually didn't win.
Mm.
Like,
And then
we called it because 'cause we're just like, "Oh, he's gonna find a way to, like, bullshit his way into being like, oh, this is gonna make more sense for them to, like, chase after us because we beat them in, like, a shitty way," and it's just like, "No, they actually didn't listen to us for once, thank God." But, I still gave it I gave it 2 and 3/4 flames. I just
Oh.
don't ca the only thing that saved it from being lower was the fact that we got a little hint of Samoa Joe and Jeff again, and the fact that Hook beat Jericho with his own move, which
And he
that was
made
fun.
it, yeah, he made it look better. I
Yeah.
gotta say, he made it look better than Jericho. This is not even because of my hate for Jericho. I just think like when he did it, I was like, oh, that looked cool when he did it. When
Yeah.
Jericho does it, it's just like it just like a big blob just coming at
Yep.
you. So again, but I thought I was very fair in my rating, giving it 3 out
Yeah.
of 5. And then we move on to the ladder match to crown the new TNT champion because it was vacated because Adam Copeland got injured. So he could no longer defend the title. So they did something. They said, hey, let's put it up in a ladder match. Now, originally, they were the Elite, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson were just going to give it to Jack Perry, their pseudo authority figure, I guess assistant to Tony Khan, Adam Pierce Light, maybe. Uh,
Yeah.
Christopher Daniels was like, no, it's gonna be in a ladder match, and we had a ladder match. Between God, there were so many people: Konosuke Takeshita, Mark Briscoe, Dante Martin, Leo Rush, El Phantasmo, and the scapegoat Jack Perry. I honestly thought like you couldn't construct a better ladder match with that many people, but the winner was quite predictable.
Yeah, and that definitely took away from it for me, I think. I mean, there were some good spots in the match. There were
Mhm.
some others that were not so good, like Briscoe undershooting the one dive off the ladder, and
Yeah,
then
he definitely has to have a bruised rib.
yeah, and then I don't know how he didn't break Takeshita's arm because instead of actually hitting Takeshita in the body when he like jumped off the ladder or off like that chair over the rope into the like, yeah, he fully missed him, but it's fine. So it was a little sloppy in some spots, but then there were other spots where like when Dante supposedly hurt his ankle again, I'm like, oh, not again.
Yeah.
I'm like, please not again. So they did at least a good job in that respect of, oh shit, are they actually hurt? Did
Yeah.
he get hurt again? Did this one get hurt? Or they all hurt, which they probably were, but
That blue thunder bomb through the tables.
that was clean.
That was very clean. The way that the table just disintegrated
So
into pieces,
satisfying.
it was literally like, oh, that was so good. You couldn't
I was
have done it any better.
when it did that, I was like, hell yeah. Yeah, that was the way to break the table. But so yeah, it had some good moments, it had some bad moments, but it's just we talked about this on the like last week where it's just like if you were just gonna give it to Jack Perry anyway, what the hell was the point of the whole ladder match then?
Right.
Like, because he had to earn it? Is that literally what we were
Yeah.
doing? Is
I-
what
if
whatever.
anything, they should have gave it to him. Christopher Daniels should have came out after they gave it to him and say, "Hey, I can't override decision to give him the title, but I can make him defend it in the ladder match.
Yeah.
And then if he wins it at the ladder match, it's like, okay, well, he retained the title that he had. Giving it to
Yeah.
taking it away and then saying you got to earn it and then he wins it anyway. It's
It's
just kind of,
dumb.
yeah, it's just kind of a lot of extra steps that don't need to be there. Um,
Especially when everyone wanted Takeshita to win it, me
exactly.
included.
Yeah, that was my exact next point. Is I'm watching this match and I'm like, damn, what more does Konosuke Takeshita have to do to just get some gold in this company? They keep
Yeah.
they keep hammering the point, oh, he's a guy that beat Kenny Omega twice in 1 week. Okay, what are we doing with that? Absolutely nothing, because he keeps taking L's throughout his record sheet. And again, I'm not saying every win and loss is important, because wins and losses can sometimes not mean as much. But when you got a guy as talented as Takeshita, you look at him and go, if I had my own wrestling promotion, I would definitely build it around this guy. Yet he hasn't had a meaningful win since last year's All In, and he's just been Don Callis's monster guy.
Yeah, it's just it was just nice. It was a nice sentiment to think that he was going to win it, but he's just been so inconsistently booked since he joined the Callis family that it's just like, I guess we shouldn't be surprised, but god damn it, I was hoping they maybe this is well, this is going to be something similar to what we talk to later when we get to Money in the Bank for obvious reasons, but it's like, okay, now maybe they'll see the reaction he got and go, "Oh, maybe we should actually do something with him now because people genuinely wanted him to win."
Right.
And like the guy because he's good, and maybe just get him out of the Callis family because I don't think it ever did him any favors to begin with. But
I,
yeah,
he'd be a great next opponent for Swerve.
oh, that would be a fun one. My God, that would be fun.
That
I would pay money for that one.
Right, because you look at it, and we'll get to the main event, but with the situations happening in the main event and the way that went down, you look at it, and if Callis is like, all right, well, Will Ospreay doesn't want to be with the Callis family, I'll insert somebody that is with the Callis family. And he looks
Yeah.
at Takeshita, and you build that up, and that works. I mean, I don't know how that'll work now, because they have All In. I don't know if there's a pay-per-view in between from now until All In.
No, I don't think so. Thank God. You
Yeah.
can get a break.
Yeah, get a little break. And I think that's smart, because they can really build up some stories. Oh, I know, I just said the bad word when it comes to AEW. I said stories.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, but again, Konosuke Takeshita, he's a star chip in your roster. Any company he makes infinitely better. You have a chance to say, technically, he's a homegrown AEW guy, much like Swerve, well, kind of Swerve, but you know what I'm getting
Eh,
at.
yeah.
He's an OG AEW guy who's not from the States, not from North America, but he meshes so well that even North American fans are taken by him. Again,
Yeah.
this is ways to separate AEW from the competition.
Hmm. I
But
agree.
as far as the match, I gave it. Let me see, because there's so many damn matches. 3.5 out of 5 flames. I gave this match.
And I think I gave it the same.
All right, all right. And then we have another match that was widely anticipated. Basically, we
Mm,
had Mercedes Moné, the TBS champion, taking on Stephanie Van Cor, the New Japan Strong Women's Champion. It was a title for title match. Um, this match, man,
ooh.
as far as creating a story behind it, behind the
Oh,
match,
boy,
the
did they.
the way I looked at it is, not a lot of people were familiar with Stephanie Van Cor's game, and she
They,
can
they do now.
yeah, she went in there and she showed the world who she is. I made this in my notes that said she is a star,
Hmm.
plain and simple. She comes out there and your eyes are just like, holy shit, who is
That
that?
look, that
That
whole look.
Yeah, her whole aesthetic is just,
Love it.
yeah, she is not someone you want to mess with. And then as
Mm-mm.
far as the match, like it,
Outclassed her
yeah,
so bad.
yeah, it was pretty obvious. Like the match was great, but it was an obvious carry job, and I thought I was going crazy. I was like, nah, that can't be the case with Mercedes Monet. Sure, she's not as good as she once was, but it wasn't a hard carry job. My eyes would be
No.
deceiving me. I went to Twitter and like talked to some of my
Mhm.
friends that are like on my personal Twitter, like people that
Yeah.
I trust, and I was like, am I going crazy or did Stephanie dog walk Mercedes? And they were like, nah, she lapped her. Like
Yeah.
once she blocked in that headlock with her legs and just
Oh,
started ramming her head
yeah.
into the mat, I was like, oh, we got a problem here.
Oh, once I heard that reaction of that crowd, I'm like, "Ooh, this
Yeah.
is not gonna be good." But here's my okay, so here's my only problem though, is well, I have quite a few problems actually. So again, Stephanie, fantastic. The very few little like matches we've seen of her, I'm like, I want to see more of her. She has a cool aesthetic, just very good in the ring, very clean in the ring. I wonder if the crowd would have turned as badly if it wasn't New York, because okay, so I get the whole New York Boston rivalry, as you understand. Obviously, you're in the middle of it.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny initially, but then I'm just like, okay, this match is actually really good, and the only thing you guys are talking about is like the Celtics and the Red Sox that have nothing to do with the match other than the fact that Mercedes is from Boston. So it's
Right.
like, I get it. I get that you guys are probably fatigued because there's, I think, two matches after this, so you're almost towards the end. I get it, but
Mhm.
also I'm kind of wondering what would have happened if they were in like I don't want to say Chicago. That would have been a terrible.
Yeah, if
Well,
they
okay,
were like,
just for my sake, I don't know, just like a neutral site like Pittsburgh,
yeah,
would it have been that bad of like a turn?
I think the reason it went down that way is possibly the live fans. I'm not saying every fan, but maybe the
Yeah,
live fans in attendance were turning on Mercedes. But the only sort of clever thing that they could do was, oh, this is New York. She's from Boston. And to be honest with you, it's Long Island. You know, it's Long
yeah, it's not New
Island.
York City.
Yeah, if they were in Brooklyn, if they were in Manhattan,
God,
then it's a different story because they would never go to the actual Bronx. That would make sense. But like
that would
if
be a good
they,
idea either.
yeah, if they were in Brooklyn or Manhattan, hell, well, th- even Queens, I'll give Queens
Mhm,
that. I don't want to, but I'll give Queens that. Um, it's just like that would make more sense. But I feel like Stephanie was dog walking her.
mhm.
Mercedes,
Outclassing her.
yeah, Mercedes kind of got exposed, and the
Yeah,
crowd picked up on that and said, "We don't like that," because again, a big proponent of that too was that the outcome of the match was very predictable, much like the MJF Hechicero, the
yeah.
Jack Perry ladder match situation. We
Mm,
There was no way they were going to put the TBS belt on Stephanie,
well,
and
no.
it was crazy because again, you knew Mercedes was going to win. And Stephanie was like, sure, I got to drop my title, but you're not going to make me look like a fool.
No, she didn't. Well, and I think also what might have, I don't want to say like fully contributed to it, but might have maybe not helped the live crowd was the fact that I think it was the day before or a couple days before, I don't remember the exact date, that Mercedes had an interview and flat out said, "Oh yeah, I have creative control in AEW."
Yeah, that was a dumb.
Why the fuck would you say that? Like that is the dumbest thing you could have
Yeah.
said because and I for research because I didn't want to talk out of my ass. I pulled up the cage match since she's joined AEW. Not counting, actually, I will just count this. She's had 4 matches.
Okay.
So in 4 matches, she's had 2 title wins,
Wow.
and then before she won the second one, opened her mouth and was like, "Oh yeah, I have creative control."
and
Did you
she's
really think that was going to go over very well?
she's 4-0.
Yeah, she hasn't lost.
Y-
And
sh-
in half of her matches, she's won titles in AEW already. And then to just go on and say that you have creative control was the dumbest thing you could have possibly said. Because now, how are people going to take, like, not take you seriously, but it's like, how are people going to want to cheer for you now? Where it's like
that's a
every
good point.
other match you probably have now, people are going to be throwing around Hulk Hogan memes because they kind of already were.
Mercedes Hogan.
Yeah, which I'm like, maybe let's not compare her to somebody like him. Maybe nobody should be compared to him. But yeah, I think it was a perfect storm of just shit that hit all at once during that match. And I mean, at least good on her for like realizing that, well, the crowd is clearly turning on me. We kind of have to like play into this. And she did, so which is good. So at least she didn't like try to force herself as, oh no, guys, I'm still the good guy. Don't worry about it. Like it's
Right.
fine. But let's be completely honest here. The match itself was pretty good. I mean, it wasn't terrible. I think it was a pay-per-view worthy match. I don't think it could have been wasted on a dynamite or whatever.
Yeah, it definitely was a pay-per-view worthy match. It's just, to me, it was almost jarring to the point where, like,
Hmm.
again, I had to go to outside
Yeah.
sources and be like, are my eyes deceiving me? Because I have people
Yeah.
like, I went to my Twitter friend Rob. You Everyone should follow him. He's at Ugly New York. He's a great follow, because he's just like, in terms of knowing culture and wrestling, he doesn't sugarcoat it. If he doesn't like it, he'll say what he says. So I went
Yeah.
to him because I value his opinion, and I'm like, "Did you see what I see? Did?" And he's like, "Yeah, that was out the box. Like,
Hmm.
Stephanie just dog walked this girl," which is crazy,
Yeah.
because I made the point of saying, like, NXT Brooklyn, when she had that match against Bailey, after that match, I was like, Sasha Banks is the best. She's at least top 3, male or female. Like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you couldn't tell me anything different. So to see this, and then not only that, but she's training with so many important people, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And she was like, oh, yeah, I'm ready for this match and whatever. And then a lot of people are like, yeah, you thought you were ready.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then Stephanie was just like, yeah, that's cute.
Yeah.
And you weren't ready.
Right, because you see her, she's training all these styles, and she's working with Joshi wrestlers, and she's also
Mhm.
training Lucha Libre. And then, well, where was that, Sasha? Like,
Mhm.
or Mercedes, I'm sorry.
She was
But
too busy getting her face slammed into the mat. That's why.
that's what I'm saying. Like, that was the moment I was like, wait a minute, we got a problem. Like, if I was Tony Khan. And to your
Yeah.
point about the creative control, like, whether or not she has it is a separate problem, I think.
Yeah.
Um, I think that is a dangerous thing. Again, I'm not saying she does or
Yeah.
doesn't. She could have just been playing up the idea just to create waves. But I sincerely hope that Tony Khan is a better businessman to not give anybody any sort of creative control ever. Like,
Yeah, because we saw how well that worked before.
right, right. I mean, I'm not saying don't take their input or anything like that, or
Yeah.
actually give them leeway because of their
Don't make it the end all be all.
right. Don't make it so that you give them power to basically hold your show hostage if they don't get what they want.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's always worked out well in the past. But I also do think, um, well, obviously, before we get into what I for sure want to talk about what happened afterwards, the match
Oh
itself,
yeah.
I gave it, it's almost like I gave Stephanie 3.25 stars because that was pretty much what that match was. But it, I think the way that crowd turned on Mercedes benefited what happened after the match,
Mm.
which after 5,000 years, it feels like at this point, we finally, and I mean finally, get our doctor back on our TV screens.
Yeah.
Fucking finally. Like, I'll be completely honest. Remember how literally every pay per view for the last, like, oh, I don't know, almost year, I'm like, okay, well, maybe she can come back because of this. Oh, maybe she'll come back because of this, like, willing it into existence. Mom and I were talking about it before the show started, and we're like, I don't. At this rate, I think she's just coming back in Pittsburgh. Like, I doubt she's going to show up today. The
Right.
one time we don't fucking say, oh, yeah, well, maybe she might show up at this pay per view. She shows up at this pay per view, but the way she flat out upset, like, not only did Mercedes get outclassed in the ring, she got upstaged after winning the title because that reaction was wild
Right,
for
right.
Britt.
Yeah, it was a reaction, like, it was because it was unexpected, the crowd
Yeah.
was genuinely surprised. She came out, and it was as if, like, the way she came out, her expression,
Hmm.
the way she was walking around,
She looks great.
yeah, the way she commanded the pyro, her outfit, the fact
Yeah.
that she's been looking like she hasn't had a carb in like two and a
Yeah.
half years. She literally came in there and she was like, okay, the head bitch is back. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Literally,
Yeah,
literally. And this perfectly sets up because, I mean, obviously, as of this recording tomorrow night during Dynamite, she'll be back.
right.
So I cannot wait to see what she has to say, obviously, because I've been waiting since
Mhm.
September to hear what she has to say. But also, if we're really getting a build up with Mercedes and Britt to All In, oh, Mercedes is gonna get cooked on this mic week in and week out. It's
Right.
just gonna be wild. And I love all these people where for months on end it was like, well, we don't want Brit anymore. We don't want Brit. We want somebody else. Blah blah blah. Well, you got what you wanted, and then what did you guys start doing? We
Yeah.
miss Brit. We want Brit. Blah blah blah. It's like same thing with Roman Reigns too, where it's like you guys could not get rid of him fast enough, and now all of a sudden it's oh well, no, we want him back. It's like you guys are fickle, as Danielson says,
Right.
fickle. But you know what? I don't care. Get on the bandwagon because clearly you guys are jumping back on. And now I've been driving the thing in circles since September, but I'm just happy Britt's back. I'm
Right.
just, like I said, she looked great. She looked like insane.
Yeah, she did.
So
Um,
if she goes back into wrestling in like prime Britt Baker, we are gonna be in for a fucking treat at All In. I just know it.
yeah. I need to see the urgency back. I need to
Yeah.
see the snapness because at the tail end, and this most likely was due to her body being broken down and fatigue.
Hmm.
There it was almost like she was wrestling with cement shoes on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the worst thing because it's the most obvious to a fan in a fan's eyes to see that something's off. You know,
Yeah.
she didn't have that snap, you know, that
Yeah.
instinct, you know, to go. But when like you just see it, like when she came out and that reaction from the crowd, and her eyes were just they were laser focused, you know,
Yep.
and like she did not play around, so you felt like that intensity, that ready to go nature, because I was literally, if I was Mercedes, I'm throwing my titles down, I'm throwing my hands up like let's go now, and like I would want Britt to walk towards the ring, the crowd would have been going crazy, and then we could have did something else. But like it really felt like, as a fan, I'm watching and going, Britt, go down to the ring, get in her face, let's go. But like she did the thing with the pyro and then she walked away, and I was like, oh, she's just showing her, like it's almost like, you know, like Swerve says this is Swerve's house. She was like, this is my house. This is Britt Baker's house, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what it felt like. On the microphone, it's gonna be really difficult because Mercedes has to stop.
Oh, oh,
She has to
oh.
stop doing
Yeah.
that thing. I can't I don't have the words to describe what it is, but it is the way that she talks. It's her inflection, her tone, her pacing in her words, her pitch. It's just,
Yeah.
it's
It's always
it's
off.
it's always like inauthentic. Like she's trying to play the mean girl, you know. And then
Yeah.
it really just seems like, oh, she hasn't really evolved from when she was at that other place.
No, and it's just that weird, well, and kind of like what we were talking about too a couple months ago, where it's like you're painting her as a good guy, and then she's going off on like, well, I got to do this. I got to go throw out the first pitch of the Red Sox game. I got to do all this press. I was sitting courtside at the Celtics game. It's like that's not how a good guy would usually talk. That's called
Mhm.
showboating. So it's like,
Yeah,
what are we doing here? But
yeah.
Yeah, all gotta say is good luck
Yeah.
because Britt is. Thank God though, like when she was hurt, and like you said, you would think wrestling fans would have had some common sense to know that there was something wrong, but they didn't. They were just, oh, she sucks. This is like, you need to get her off the TV. It's like, okay, you guys clearly haven't been paying attention at all, which is nothing new. But she still had her mic skills. Can't
Yeah.
take that away from her. So you have her firing on all cylinders against Mercedes. God help if she doesn't win it all in. I can tell you that
Yeah, I
because
mean,
damn,
it's a great match to set up for All In. This is like okay, we could use this is logical direction into something we could turn into some storyline stuff to get
yeah,
people to want to buy All In. As far as the match against Stephanie Vancouver, I gave it 3.5 out of 5. But much like you said, it was basically the Stephanie Vancouver show, and then on top of that, she squeaks out a win and gets upstaged by the DMD at the end. The crowd just went bananas.
yeah,
I would never have guessed Britt Baker could garner a reaction like that. I never said she wasn't good or anything, but it was just like, damn, it was one of those things like people really missed her, I guess.
yeah. I mean, I sure did. I'm sure did, but it's just like I'm glad you guys finally realized that what you what you didn't have until it was gone.
Right.
So
Yeah. So
now maybe you can appreciate her a little bit more.
yeah, so I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what she has to say on Dynamite. It should be very interesting. We move on to the next match, which was John Moxley defending the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship against the former champion, leader of Los Ingobernables de Japón, Tetsuya Naito. I'll just come right out and say it. This match was not good. It was
No.
a whole hot dog pack of ass. That match was. That was
It was
bad.
it was like I mean, the fact that this went on before some of these matches is like a travesty, but it was just like I don't even know how to work. And see, so I'm glad it wasn't just me, but I was just like, it felt like this was just a whole blur. And then I blinked, and then it's, oh yeah, the match is over. I'm like, oh, it actually happened.
Yeah,
Like, it was just, I don't know. It just didn't
it-
seem like those two had any chemistry at all. It was just everything
none.
was odd. Everything was just
N-
weird.
no chemistry
No,
whatsoever. And the crazy thing is, much to your point about blinking and it's over, this match went 17 minutes and 5 seconds.
it didn't feel like it.
They like you said, they had no chemistry whatsoever, like to the point where you can visibly see them trying to figure out what direction to whip the other off the ropes.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
just
like,
like
guys, this is like beginner's rookie shit. Like,
yeah,
what is going on?
it was just it definitely was the low point of the card, and the fact that it was the match before the main event. I mean, I would have put the ladder match in that spot because
Yeah.
again, you had the ladder match, you had Mercedes, you had Britt come out, and then you had the stinker between Naito and
Yeah.
Moxley. Mind you, this is all in the 11 o'clock hour or close to it before we even get to Swerve and Will
Yeah,
Ospreay.
where we're
You
all
know,
half dead at this point.
yeah, and this is out of all the matches on the pre-show and everything, this is match number 15, main event. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's just the construction of this card. I get it. It's the Forbidden Door, the partnership between New Japan and AEW. But again, this match was on
Mm,
kind of like a death spot on the card. I would have maybe put Mercedes in that spot. I would have again put the
yeah,
ladder match in that spot because you put Mercedes in that spot, you get the Britt Baker pop, and then boom, we go right into the main event.
yeah. Like I think unfortunately the best way I could put this match and the placement is, like you said, it's in the 11th hour. Most of us are trying to fight to stay awake, and that match comes on. I would not be surprised if a bunch of people fell asleep,
Yeah.
and
It
that's not
was
good.
it was just bad, man, because
Yeah,
Naito's one of those guys, like he doesn't give a shit about AEW, and nor should he.
You could tell.
You know,
You could
like
tell.
he like his Los Ingobernables character, I feel, is very closely to how Naito feels as a person in real life, you know,
Yeah.
and a lot of those New Japan guys have openly had some ill feelings towards the idea of like not just because Moxley's holding the title, they don't think anybody should be holding the title that's not New Japan
Yeah.
rooted. Like, and how can you blame them for that? You know?
Yeah.
You know, because
Yeah, Naito, it kind of seemed like he didn't want to be there.
he
It
didn't
was very obvious. Like, Moxley tried to go at his knees, and you would have never have known it because he never, like, continued to sell the fact that Moxley went at his knees. And it was just like, kind of like how you said MJF was going through the motions earlier. It's kind of, Naito was going through the emotions at that point. He's like, just give me the check, let me leave,
yeah.
give me the title. Like, I don't care.
And the thing is, Naito, like you said, Naito didn't give a shit, and Naito's not afraid to let you know he doesn't give a shit. Like, you know, like
Yeah. There's
if
no hiding it.
right, if Naito comes out with the white suit with the cape, then you know Naito probably gives a little bit of a shit. He just
Yeah.
came out in his regular outfit, got it off. You know, I think part of the match he was like in his t-shirt still. They did that
Yeah.
spear spot through the barricade that didn't work out so well. So
No.
he started beating him with the rubber piece that's on the top of the barricade. Oh no, it was a complete shit show. I gave it 2 out of 5 flames. Definitely the worst match of the night.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that one.
Yeah, so and then takes us to the main event. It's Swerve Strickland versus Will Ospreay. They did some stuff that is what you would see in action movies. You know,
Oh, yeah.
it it,
Oh, yeah.
it was one of those matches that if you were an AEW hater, it pissed you off. Basically,
Yeah.
I enjoyed it because again, I look at AEW and I look at the grand scheme of professional wrestling. AEW is on a different end of the spectrum. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's all about the athletic contest. It's all about just it's more focused on the moves and how wrestlers match up stylistically in their maneuvers and things like that. That's why it's on a different complete end of a different spectrum of wrestling. That's why I look at this match and I was like, oh, it's really good because it's an AEW style match. It's a Will Ospreay match. I'm watching AEW. I'm not looking for WWE style stuff.
No, you're looking for high octane.
Exactly.
I mean, that first sequence, for God's sake, that pretty much told you all you needed to know. It was wild. It was
Yeah,
just insane.
yeah. And then
Um,
Swerve hitting that double stomp, trying to put Will Ospreay through the announcers table. I was like, mother of
yeah.
pearl. Like that was just
Trying to kill each other.
yeah, like I've never seen any. He jumped from the ring and
Yeah.
double stomped Will Ospreay's chest onto the announce table, and the announce table did not break. Like,
No,
yeah,
not at all.
this is how can you not think that's not cool? You know, like like
Yeah, literally. It was just, it was wild. It
now,
was so wild. I loved it.
now let me ask you.
Hmm.
I personally did not find an issue with the bit where Don Callis came in and he tried to give Osprey the screwdriver to do the Callis bit with the screwdriver. I don't know if people were upset by that or thought that was unnecessary. I didn't really hate it, but I could see the other side. What do you think?
I mean, did the match need it? Not really, but I know it makes sense though in story wise because then this might finally be the thing that costs the Don Callis family their biggest name essentially because Will could easily be like, this is the second time now that I've had a big match and you've tried to help me and you've ended up screwing me over.
Mm,
So, I mean, the fact that he's still in the Don Callis family is kind of wild at this point.
right,
So it's just like this should probably be the catalyst that gets him like out, and maybe Kyle Fletcher too,
right.
or at least at some point. Maybe not right away, but maybe the whole Don Callis family just crumbles because maybe even Takeshita after a while is just like, what do I have to show for being in this family?
Right,
Nothing.
right. And it's interesting you say it that way because you look at what happened, I believe, oh, it was Collision when they had that weigh-in before the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And he goes, he instead of asking the entire Don Callis family to come out with him, he just goes,
Yep.
"Hey, Kyle, come out with me just to make sure I have some backup." And Trent Beretta took offense to that. So
Yeah.
they are planting the seeds, and by God, is AEW trying to tell a story here?
Yeah, I think they might be actually.
Yeah,
Well, because it's like it's staring you plain in the face. Like somebody like Will Ospreay shouldn't be with the Don Callis family. So this, like I said, is hopefully the straw that breaks the camel's back at this point. Because what more can he do to try and help that hasn't hurt him already?
right. And then Swerve ends up picking up the win, retaining the AEW World Championship to a big surprise of people because
Yeah,
Osprey was like on an 18-0 run. But again, to your reaction to that, I think there probably was some trepidation. Like, why would you give Strickland the belt so soon to take it off of him just to
yeah,
make Osprey a champion? And
exactly.
I don't know if you read the report on the match, but according to Fightful, it was Osprey's idea to not win the title because he wanted to prove that you can be beaten by the world champion and
Yeah,
still be good, which I think is very selfless.
yeah,
It's very admirable. It shows that he's a team player because he's willing to put not only the perception of the company but the willingness to maybe this will lead to something better and something more dramatic in a storytelling sense that people can latch onto. But again, it's the thing where he's putting the perception of the company ahead of himself because he could easily go, I'm 18-0, I'm Will Ospreay, bruv. I,
yeah.
because like
Bruv, bruv, bruv.
he's literally the best professional wrestler on the planet. Like his ability to put on great matches with such ease is like a reminder of like AJ Styles TNA run.
Yeah.
It's
Oh
just
yeah.
he's and AJ Styles at that time was literally voted, best wrestler of the decade. And I feel like Will Ospreay does fit that mold. He upsets people because he is so good.
Yeah.
And then to that point, there was a spot. Remember the spot where Swerve hit him with that poison Rana, he pops back up and then he
Yeah.
hits him with the hidden blade. At that point, I was like, "All right, come on, buddy," because
Yeah, let's not.
there was some moments where, like towards the end, I would have scaled back the false finishes, the kickouts to the
Yeah.
finishers, the no selling. I would have scaled that back just a bit. I'm not one of those that are like, "Oh, I hate it. Don't put it in there." I just would have scaled it back because again,
It's a time and place.
right, you got hit with a poison Rana and you pop up and hit him with a hidden blade from the back without
Yeah.
getting any sort of momentum to it. That was just it was just a little weird. But again, Will Ospreay still the great performer that he is, and the idea that he went to Tony Khan said, "Don't put the belt on me because I need to prove a point that you can be beaten by the best and still be great." You know,
Yeah.
I,
Exactly.
I,
You can be mortal.
Right. I think that's beautiful. I think that's very selfless and admirable. So kudos to Will Ospreay. They had this you could probably put this on a match of the year list. I gave it 4 out of 5 flames.
I did too.
All right. So see, this is why we're such a good tag team because we stay in sync. We don't really even have to relay these things to each other. We're still on the same level.
Yeah, literally. Like, I mean, there's only like a handful that we didn't get wrong or
Mhm.
didn't have the same rating for, but
Yeah.
we were pretty similar.
All right. So for the best match, I'm going with the main event. What about you?
Yeah, yeah, I'd have to go with that.
All right. So the worst match, this is pretty easy. Naito and Moxley. I,
Yeah,
I
not even close.
I don't even think we made mention of the fact that Naito beat Moxley to win
Oh
back
yeah,
the to win back the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. So it goes back to Japan. So good on that. And biggest moment I had Britt Baker's return.
yeah, DMD.
DMD is back. So there you go. Overall, the pay-per-view as a whole, I gave it 3 1/4 out of 5 flames. What about you?
I'd say that's pretty fair because it wasn't like we keep saying, it wasn't a bad pay-per-view. It was just so overloaded that there's probably some things we could have talked about that we missed, but we just like we can't physically remember everything that happens on a 15 card pay-per-view. Like it's too much.
It,
I
Tony,
can barely pay attention to what happened last week. Like
yeah, Tony, it's too
scale it
much.
back.
It's too much, man. It really is just too much. From 6:30 to midnight,
Yeah.
all those matches, 15 matches. It's brother, it's just too much, man.
Even WrestleMania wasn't that bad.
Right, and my brother made that point. It's like the amount of matches that were on one Forbidden Door card, WWE splits in 2 nights for WrestleMania. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and this
Minus the hypothermia, but
and
still.
and this is a regular occurrence for AEW. So it's just like,
Yeah. Please
buddy,
stop.
just and it's like you don't even have to do 5 like WWE. I say 7, you
8.
8 max. You do 1 on the pre-show, 7 on the
Yeah.
main card. That's
Hmm.
beautiful.
Once you get the double digits is when we start to have a
It's
problem.
up, and we're getting mid double digits, 15. Like that's
Ugh.
it's insane. It's insane. So
Which is so funny because now once we go from this to Money in the Bank, we're gonna fucking breeze right through this
yeah,
because there's 5.
5 matches, which is this is the third, I guess, Triple H pay-per-view where they're doing the
Mm,
5 match card. You know,
I think so.
I
Yeah.
think this is the third one.
Backlash, Money or Backlash, Clash. Yeah, to be third.
Yeah,
Backlash,
because
Classic to Casual.
I remember when he first did it, I remember looking at the card, I was like, "Oh, this is going to be great because every match is going to be able to tell a story." But
Oh yeah.
I was like, "I know the reaction is going to be 5 matches, what the hell, da 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 da," like, you know. But again,
And then look what happened.
yeah, right. And now everybody was like, "Oh, well, this actually works out pretty good."
Hmm,
And
funny how that works.
yeah, you want to talk about $50 for a 15 match pay-per-view, you get uh 5 matches on a PLE for like, I think it's like 12.99 is the most for like Peacock or something like that.
Yeah, something like that if you don't have
So
the app.
yeah, if we're comparing, you know, bang for
Mhm.
buck here,
Yeah.
you
Price
know,
points.
yeah, exactly. Price points. We're arguing price points here. But as far as Money in the Bank, it's time to give you our predictions for the show. Like you said, it's a 5 match card. Pretty simple. A lot of stories to get through here. We're gonna start with this one. The WWE Undisputed Champion Cody Rhodes will be teaming with Randy Orton and Kevin Owens to take on the Bloodline. Any 3 of Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, Tongaloa, and Jacob Fatu. Uh, the
Boy.
the idea that it's any 3 of, and we still don't have a definitive answer of which of those 3 it's gonna be, makes me very scared for the good guys.
Yeah, I pretty much have Bloodline winning this one because
Mm,
if supposedly, I think if the rumors are to be trusted, it's going to be Solo and Cody going into SummerSlam. Which I
mm.
mean, selfishly, I hope that's the case. But you got to give us a reason. If Cody and Brandy and Kevin win, then it's just like, okay, well they beat the Bloodline. Now what? Like,
Right,
it
right.
wouldn't make any sense. So you kind of have to have them have a little bit of legitimacy because obviously there are some people who don't believe that Solo is a good tribal chief.
It's
Um,
funny you brought that up because that was going to be my next talking point. Is you kind of got to give Solo a little bit of credit, like he's figuring it out, and it feels like it's clicking for him.
yeah, it is. I think it is. And what better way to do that than by possibly pinning the champion in the middle of this match?
Yeah, yeah.
So
We your thoughts on the Bloodline putting Paul Heyman through a table?
yeah, poor Paul, that poor guy. He's been going through it.
He is yeah, like it was one of those things where somebody brought up a good point and they said Paul Heyman, for all intent and purposes, is a bad guy. You know,
Yeah,
he's never been a good guy, but damn it, he didn't deserve that, and we didn't like to see that. And it's a miracle because you look at his story, he started his career sneaking into the back door of Madison Square Garden to take pictures, and then he would go to Vince McMahon Sr. and say, "Hey, I have these pictures." Vince McMahon Sr. looked at him and said, "Okay, I'll pay you if you keep coming back." And that's how he got his start in wrestling.
Yeah.
but it happened in Madison Square Garden. He closes out the show in the most recent Madison Square Garden event, SmackDown. He closes out the show getting put through a table. As a wrestling fan, that's like the ultimate dream right there. You know,
Yeah.
you know
Oh yeah.
that's like the ultimate dream. You go from a pseudo photographer just trying to get into the business to the most, listen, this beat out Joe Hendry for the most viewed moment on social media, like their numbers wise.
Wow.
It beat
Yeah,
out the
saying something.
Yeah, it beat out the Joe Hendry thing, and the Joe Hendry thing only lasted about a month. You know,
Yeah.
that just it beat out the WrestleMania sequence at the end.
Yeah.
Paul Heyman, man. So again, shout out to him. But like you said, yeah, this, I think I didn't really have a prediction just yet, but yours makes the most sense because if they're trying to do something at SummerSlam, you know, with Solo and Cody, I'm not even thinking about that match. I'm thinking, how do we set it up to maybe at the end of SummerSlam, Roman Reigns' music hits to close out the show?
Yeah.
How do we
Oh
set that
yeah.
up? How do we set that up? Because if
Mm.
Cody ends up beating Solo at SummerSlam and Roman comes out, it looks like we're setting up another Cody Roman rematch. But Solo, if we do the Solo way, that means Solo has to beat Cody. And I don't think there's no way on planet Earth that
No.
Solo Sikoa is taking this belt from Cody Rhodes so
I, f-
soon.
I feel like unless you just have the bloodline jump Cody after the match,
Yeah.
like have them jump Roman's music hits, everyone's losing their shit. They're like, okay, well, is he gonna help Cody or is he gonna join the bloodline again? No one really knows. And then he like decks Solo, and then there you go.
I'll go crazy. I'll go crazy.
I'll lose
I'll
my shit.
I'll go crazy in the sense that here's how I would do it. I would take your idea, Cody getting jumped after the match, right? He gets jumped. Here comes Jay Uso, right? Jay
Yeah.
Uso comes, but there's still too many people. You bring in Jimmy back, right?
Oh,
You bring in Jimmy back
yeah.
because everybody's expecting Roman to come back. You bring in Jimmy, but people are like, okay, well, it's not Roman, but it's Jimmy and
Eh,
this works.
close enough.
Yeah, and then the numbers still aren't on their side, and then you bring in Roman.
Yeah.
You bring in Roman. He doesn't even walk out first. You know who walks out first? Paul Heyman walks out,
Mm-hmm.
and then
That
Roman.
shit eating grin on his
Yeah,
face.
exactly. And
Hmm.
then Roman follows from behind, and that place, Cleveland, will
We,
lose
we will
their
lose our mind.
shit. I would be at home losing my freaking mind. But again, that's how I would do it. Just like because
We'll see. We've done this before.
right, because like you look at it and go, if we're setting it up that way, everyone's looking for the Roman return, which they'll get.
Hmm.
But as a bonus, as like a little appetizer, we're gonna give you the Jimmy return too. So that way we reunite the Usos, you know?
Yeah. Well, then you get that like little on the edge of your seat, like okay, like you're sitting there and like Jay's out there and you're just like leaning in front of your TV, like,
Yeah.
is it gonna hit? Is it gonna hit?
Right.
And then it's Jimmy, and then it's like, okay, I mean it's not Roman, but sure. And then they're like, I gotcha, and
Yeah.
then this music hits. So
Yeah, it's almost like what they did at Survivor Series, where they kind of used Randy Orton's return to the ring as sort of like as sort of like a smoke screen, basically.
yeah, like a red herring
Right?
almost.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They were
Yeah.
like, hey, but you're getting Randy Orton back, and everybody's like,
Hmm.
well, yeah, that's cool, but it's Chicago. We kind of want the Punk man. It's the same thing. It's like
Yeah.
Jimmy comes out and you're like, well, yeah, that's great because we get the Usos back. Man, really want Roman, but I'll settle for Jimmy for right now. And then boom, you know,
Yeah. Get
it's
them while they're not paying attention.
exactly. I think that would be great. That's my fantasy booking for the week right there. I think we teamed up
Yeah.
really good, and I think that works out great to have Solo and the Bloodline win at Money in the Bank to set up Solo and Cody, which brings back the return. As we booked it, not only of Roman Reigns but Jimmy Uso as well as like a little appetizer.
So if it happens, once again, guys, you're welcome. We predicted Clash at the Castle, so I mean,
Yeah,
what could go wrong?
what can go wrong after that? We should be riding high after that.
Yeah, really. Like we can't Well, we could beat that with this prediction, but we'll see.
Next up on the card is Sami Zayn defending the Intercontinental Championship against Braun Breaker, the newcomer. This one, it's one of those where like my heart wants Sami to retain, and out of fear, my head says Braun Breaker is gonna win.
I think they'll. Okay, so I think like a lot of people are expecting Braun Breaker because oh well he's just running through everybody and blah 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 whatever. He's trying to like kill people with the spear, and it's just like yeah, but it would make sense for Sammy to just like outsmart him one time and be like, "Eh, see, got you, kid. You're still like too new."
Mm-hmm.
And then Braun's like, "Okay, yeah, well, no, I just had an off day. We're doing this again at SummerSlam," and then he wins at
Okay.
SummerSlam.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be something like that. So I think it'll be like, okay, well, the veteran gets one over on the rookie for now, and then the rookie goes back a little bit smarter next time and outsmarts Sammy. But I think at least for this time it'll be Sammy. But then I think he'll end up losing it at SummerSlam.
I actually like that prediction, so I'm gonna copy your homework.
All right, fine. I didn't see it.
I'm gonna copy your homework because that makes a lot of sense. Because I'm just looking at it not from a story side, but from the actual match and the fact that Sami Zayn, one of his strongest qualities is fighting from underneath and
Yeah,
making you believe he's in danger. And at the last moment, he's able to squeak something out and show he can be a winner. So that's the angle that I'm looking at it at. But from a story standpoint, it does make a lot of sense because it's almost like the Will Ospreay effect. We have to show
yeah,
that there's a kink in Braun Breaker's armor.
yeah,
You
and
know,
it's inexperience.
inexperience is a great way to play that story plot. The inexperience or Sammy being able to do things to Braun Breaker that makes him getting so enraged that he doesn't have that focus. Because right now we look at Braun Breaker and he's this monster with lightning speed that can tear people in half, but it is a part of a like a laser focused, you know?
Yeah,
So if Sammy can tap into Braun Breaker's inability to control his rage and use that against him, I think that's a solid a talking point. And again, if they do the rematch at SummerSlam, I would not be upset. And Braun Breaker getting that moment makes a lot of sense.
yeah. See, I try
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah. So I guess you get the pencil this week.
Well, yeah. I mean, we have no choice, unfortunately. So we both get the golden pencil this week, silver pencil.
All right. So next one up is the World Heavyweight Championship match where Damian Priest will be defending the title against the returning Seth freaking Rollins. We talked about this last week because the caveats to the match are if Seth Rollins cannot defeat Damian Priest, then as long as Damian Priest is still champion, he can no longer go after the World Heavyweight Championship. If he is able to defeat Damian Priest must leave the Judgment Day.
Oh, the drama.
The drama indeed. And the thing is, there's so much drama surrounding the Judgment Day that if like I'm Damian Priest, yeah, I lose my title, but damn it, I get away from all this foolishness.
Yeah, he's like, I think he feels like the dad that's like trying to wrangle the three kids, and it's just like he doesn't have the patience for it, and I don't blame him. I'd be like so over it too. It's also that kind of thing with the Judgment Day where it's just like every week this kind of shit happens, and you're just leaning closer and closer into the TV of Rhea, you need to come back because this is just a mess.
It
But it's just when you think it couldn't get any worse, it just keeps getting worse. I I think at this point, because we joke about it all the time, like I don't think my mom would handle it if he literally loses the title the month before the pay per view we're going to.
mhm,
I still think, keeping that aside, obviously, I still think it makes more sense for Damien to hold on to it
right.
because if you want to get rid of the stigma of, well, he always needs somebody's help to win her to keep the title, and he flat out told Finn, he's like, you need to understand, I don't want your guys' help at Money in the Bank. And I mean, Finn's just like, sure, whatever. So it's like, that doesn't make me feel good. But if he beats Seth Rollins, like, there's not much you could say at that point where it's like, okay, well, if he beats him clean, that stigma pretty much goes away, I
Right.
would think.
Right. Right.
Um, but and then again, jokingly, but also selfishly, it's like I just need to see Damien make it to SummerSlam as champion. He can lose it at SummerSlam. I think at least my mom's made peace with the fact he'll most likely lose it at SummerSlam,
Mhm.
but just get him to SummerSlam.
Right.
But it just also kind of plays into a Clash when it was Drew and Damien. They kept saying whoever wins this match is facing Gunther at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
They said nothing about Money in the Bank. They said nothing about any of that. So it's like it pretty much already tells you Damien is holding on to that title.
Right.
Hopefully,
Right.
as long as Drew has nothing to do about it, but we'll get to that later. But I still think it's going to be Damien, and Damien's going to do it clean, so everyone can shut up because he is a good champion. I don't want to hear it. He's going to hold on to that title.
Yeah, I kind of got to go use it because, like, at the end of the day, Seth, if Damian beats Seth, Seth can no longer challenge Damian for the title. At the end of
Yeah.
the day, that's a loss, but it's not a big loss, because
No.
as soon as Damian loses it to whoever, Seth can go face that guy for the title. So it's not a huge loss. Damian Priest losing and having to leave the Judgment Day is a bigger loss to anything in the story than Seth losing to Damian. And Seth losing to Damian would do wonders for Damian, just as you said. It makes his title reign legitimate.
Yeah.
It's like, in my eyes, maybe because I'm a fan and maybe it's a little bit of bias, I think he's been great as a champion. He looks great as a champion.
Yeah. He's cool.
Yeah, yeah, like it fits because you look at the very very small lineage of this title, going from Seth to Drew for 5 minutes to Damian. It's all been guys that can be like that could definitely, they are world championship material.
Yeah.
But again, I just think the smartest thing, like you said, to help Damian out, to make it look like, yeah, he is deserving of this title. This wasn't just a fluke reign. Have him beat Seth Rollins. Have him beat Seth
Yeah.
Rollins. Set something up different for Seth Rollins going for SummerSlam. Make
Yeah.
something,
Give him something.
yeah, something out of the box, and that'll work out well. We'll probably get Damian versus Gunther, and Gunther ends up winning, becoming the new world heavyweight
Yeah.
champion. And your mom's probably gonna have a mental breakdown in Cleveland during SummerSlam.
she, she might she might burst into tears,
Yeah.
but for the wrong reason. She burst into tears at WrestleMania for the good reasons. She'll burst into tears at SummerSlam for the bad reasons. But you know what? At least she'll get to see him with the title
Yeah.
in part. I mean, second time see him with the title in person. But kind of going off of what you said of like he is championship material. His merch sells too.
Really.
Like for my with my own two eyeballs because mom had said a couple weeks ago, she's like, okay, well, I need to get something Damien for SummerSlam because I got nothing to wear. And I'm like, okay, I know how to pick a hint, take a hint. So I got her the El Campeon shirt online. And I don't know why, but they're considering it a special event item for whatever reason. So it was supposed to ship last week. Now it's like, oh no, it'll ship on Friday. And I'm like, yeah, I'd better because I kind of need it.
You
At the time, all the shirts were available. I go back there now. I think small and medium are the only two sizes left in his shirt.
so he's getting that merch money.
And the tank tops are pretty much. I was so mad too because I'm like, okay, well, it might be hot, but I want to wear my Rhea shirt when she hopefully comes back at SummerSlam. But if she might not come back, at least I have like a Damien tank top or whatever. Yeah, no, those are all sold out too in like every size except like 4X. So I'm like, so clearly people want his stuff,
Yeah.
which means they care enough about him to buy his merch. So what more do you want?
Yeah. So we both, in terms of the match at Money in the Bank this Saturday, we both say surprisingly Damian is going to come away as the victor and retain the World Heavyweight Championship.
El Campeon.
El Campeon indeed. And now to the next match. I know you have some thoughts about this, let's call it a situation. All right.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll say my thoughts because my thoughts are a little bit quicker and more concise because I know you're ready to go off. It is the Money in the Bank ladder match for the Women's Championship match contract between Io Sky, Chelsea Green, Lyra Valkyria, Tiffany Stratton, Naomi, and the ever polarizing Zoe Stark. Now, here's my thoughts on the match. I can appreciate the fact that people like Chelsea, Lyra, Tiffany are in the match, kind of getting some new blood in there, not focusing on people that have been in the main event scene. That's kind of my idea for both matches, actually, that the fact
Yeah.
that they have some different people, some people that have been there, a lot of people that haven't. So they're trying to put new people in the main event scene. So I can appreciate that. If I had to choose out of all the women that are in this match, who I want to win, I'm going with Chelsea Green. I think she can make the chase with the
Yeah.
briefcase very, very entertaining.
I feel like the obvious, okay, let's put it this way. The obvious pick is Tiffany Stratton. The wild card is Chelsea Green.
Why?
For me, at least.
Why is Tiffany the obvious pick?
Because I feel like the way she's going right now and the way they're booking her right now, it's almost just like out of all of them, she's the most obvious. But I feel like Chelsea has quickly become like very close number two.
Mm.
But I think more people are starting to flip now. So either of them winning would make the most sense out of the ones that are in there right now. But I just feel like they'll just probably go with the obvious choice and have Tiffany, but if Chelsea wins, I wouldn't be too upset either. Yeah, I think we all know what I would like to say is that there's a certain somebody that I felt should have been in this match that isn't,
Who would that be?
and that would be Dakota Kai. Needless to say, what I'm about to say is not a minority opinion. Because if you just look online, people collectively lost their shit last night on Raw because going into that match, okay, so going into that match, you see Ivy Nile, you're like, there's no way. So it's like, it's pretty much down to Zoe and Dakota. But I'm like, okay, like this has got to be the time because Zoe's already had her chance. I mean, she's also had plenty of other chances, as I have seen on Twitter, where you had her involved with the Trish Stratus Becky Lynch like program. You had her in last year's Money in the Bank. There's a couple others that they were listing that I don't remember right off the top of my head, but it's like she's had all of these opportunities. And then you had Dakota's Twitch stream where it's like, okay, they got to take that and run with it. I guess they just didn't run with it as quickly as I think people were expecting.
Mm.
And to say people were not happy would be an understatement because I was and still kind of am one of them because it's just for whatever reason Zoe Stark's not connecting with the fans at all. Like I don't think I've actually ever heard a reaction for her when she comes out. Um at least Dakota gets something, but um that being said though, do I still think it should have been Dakota? Yes, absolutely, because we've seen the kind of performances she can give in these types of matches. I mean, for God's sake, she's pretty much been the MVP in every single War Games she's been in. So I don't think it would be much different for a ladder match. But I get the whole storyline that they kind of fucked with Alba and Isla last week. So, you know, the whole revenge, whatever. God damn it, I just really wanted Dakota to have that moment. Like, it was just I just remember as soon as I saw Isla and Alba coming out, I just sank into my chair because I'm like, I know where this is going, and I don't want to see where I don't want to see it. I literally didn't even watch the TV. I just had my head in my hands because I just heard it, and I'm like, a fucking course. I should have known. I should have known that it was too. It wasn't that easy. It wasn't going to be that easy. But the whole taking the whole Zoe part out of it also, let's not completely trash talk Zoe all over social media, please,
Yeah.
because it's a little ridiculous where it's like,
She's just doing her job.
and also if you're an actual Dakota Kai fan, I don't think she'd really appreciate you putting down Zoe Stark. So it's like, maybe just be a decent human being and don't completely destroy this poor girl on social media because she doesn't deserve it.
Right.
Like, of course, I'm mad that Dakota didn't make it in, but I'm not going to be like, well, fuck Zoe. She didn't deserve that spot, and I can't believe like fuck her, or whatever. I'm like, okay, that's not like let's be a little reasonable about it. But so needless to say, I was not too happy last night. But you and I talked about it, and Mom and I were kind of talking about it a little bit, and it's just like I think you kind of fell into that trap a little bit of a the instant gratification in a way.
Yeah.
I'll admit it. So it's like, because then I think the problem would have been, would I have liked to see her in this match? Yes, of course. A bunch of other people. I mean, Jack, Jan, or Jeff, pretty much everybody on my Twitter wanted to see her win. But then also in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, I at least know that if she makes it into the match, I just know she's not going to win it
Yeah.
because I still think it's going to be Tiffany probably. So I'm just like, but at least she got would get that chance. I think they might. I mean, hopefully at this rate, or they're going to play the long game, which for someone who's very impatient is not my not my strong suit. However, it kind of does make sense because like people were also saying on Twitter last night, and you and I could talk about it. They didn't mention Dakota's like Twitch stream for no reason. They're not just going to say that as a throwaway line.
Right.
If they didn't give a shit about it, they weren't going to say anything. So the fact that they brought it up, I think kind of like organically got people pissed off. Maybe a little too much, obviously, because they're kind of just coming for Zoe Stark right now. But I think they kind of pushed people in the direction of, well, what are they talking about? Maybe they saw the clip, maybe
Right.
they looked it up when they brought it up, and they're like, oh, well, you know what? Yeah, that would actually make sense. That would be really cool if Dakota actually made it in and get her a moment, and then she doesn't, and people are pissed,
Right.
rightfully so.
Yeah, and not only that, like people like you said, it drove them to seek out what everyone was talking about. And if
Yeah,
even if you don't know what like streaming or anything is like that, you see Dakota having a real life moment, and
yeah,
having a real life emotional part of her life, like, and people are like, well, that's not fucking cool. Like, we don't want her to
yeah,
cry, we don't want her to cry. But to your point, this is where Triple H is a sicko. Like, he just like he will
yeah.
he will look at that, and like you said, the idea that they mentioned her emotional moment online was not it wasn't a mistake, it wasn't a throwaway,
No.
it was intentional. I think this guy is doing the thing where he's like, I'm gonna take you for a ride.
Yeah. Yes, he
just,
is.
just relax. Like, and
Yeah.
and Dakota specifically, he has always done this with Dakota. He has always done
Yeah.
this with Dakota
Mm,
specifically. You look
don't
at
I know it.
you look at her situation with Shayna. They were making a big deal
Mhm.
about her being absolutely petrified of Shayna Baszler in
Yeah.
NXT. She comes back from injury, and they start doing the thing with Tegan Knox, and out of the blue, she turns on Tegan Knox. You know,
Mhm.
then they pair her up with Raquel, and then she has that big thing with Raquel, and then she has that feud. It just hasn't really it's worked on the main roster because Damage Control, for all intent purposes, has been an integral part of the show. She just
Yeah.
hasn't had that singles moment yet. But
Yeah.
but again, Triple H is a sicko because why
Yeah.
why would EO, like when they brought up, oh, you can't be in the Money in the Bank ladder match with EO, and it took Dakota a while to process that and to kind
Mhm.
of switch gears to not upset EO, and then EO kind of gave her the
That
side.
look.
Yeah, EO gave her the side eye, and remember what I told you. I couldn't find the
Mhm.
actual tweet, but I'm like, someone said that look that she gave Dakota was the same look she gave Bailey when the wheels started going in motion for Damage Control to turn on Bailey. So
Yeah.
this is a long con. This is a long story. So
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting too because I would like to see if they'll play into kind of the motivation Dakota had when she turned on Raquel in NXT when she's like, I'm no one's sidekick.
right.
She could fully at some point, pretty much now, she's pretty much, her and Kyrie are Io's puppets at this point. Like, they're her sidekicks, at least in Io's mind. So it's like, the fact that, like, we were talking about yesterday or earlier, where it's like, there might be a time where Dakota might actually beat Io
Mm.
in a singles match, preferably at a pay per view, but it's just like, It's just that whole like you're dangling the carrot in front of us and we keep reaching for it and Triple H just keeps like pulling it
Mm,
back like, "Yeah, we'll get there eventually, guys. Don't worry about it."
mm.
But it's not right now and it's just like, please stop torturing me. Like, being a Dakota and Shayna fan is not for the faint of heart,
Definitely,
I could say.
definitely.
So so would I have preferred her to be in the match? Yes, because I know that she is a good enough wrestler or a great wrestler that could have shined in a match like that. Hopefully sometime down the line, but with the current setup we have now, and again, guys, please stop shit talking and trash talking Zoe Stark because she is good in her own right.
Yeah.
I get it. The crowd's just not clicking with her. It happens, but she's also not a terrible wrestler either. But it's probably gonna be Tiffany. I think it's gotta be Tiffany.
Mm.
If I had to pick somebody else, it would be Chelsea, but
I,
it's probably gonna be Tiffany Stratton.
I'm going with my heart on this one. I'm going with Chelsea.
Yeah.
I think Chelsea will make things way more entertaining. She could do the thing where she's like she's gonna cash in, but then something happens where she changes her.
Like Carmella.
Yeah, yeah. But like
Yeah.
she could. The thing is, like, Chelsea is such a good actress. You know,
Oh yeah.
like
Oh
it
yeah.
just like I can't wait to see, because remember she had that character in TNA where she was like in the wedding dress and she just lost her
Yeah.
shit, and she's just
Yep.
like every day she was disheveled in this wedding dress. She had the crazy lipstick on, the crazy
Yeah.
eyes where she, I forgot
Yep.
the name of the character, but it was just like that was one of the reasons I was actually tuning into TNA when I could, was because I
Yeah.
wanted to see Chelsea Green do this crazy whacked out character. But like she is just so good, and you constantly hear stories about her, and the fact that like Matt Cardona even said it, like the day she first got fired from WWE, she didn't sulk or cry or anything. She got right to work, sending
Hmm.
emails, getting shit done to keep her name out there. She just has that work ethic where it's just like she's gonna try to be the best at everything she can be.
Exactly. So I would like to see her have that moment. Like I said, if it's her, Tiffany, those would be two pretty good contenders, I say.
I agree. I agree. And then for the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, for the men's championship match contract, we have main event Jey Uso, Carmelo Hayes, Andrade, Chad Gable, LA Knight, and Drew McIntyre in this ladder match. I mean, obvious answer would be Jey Uso for me,
Yeah.
but I could see Chad Gable, and I can also see LA Knight. I can see Drew McIntyre, but
However,
but I think let's fuck with him one final time.
oh yeah, just because then to really get that whole setup for SummerSlam
Yeah,
going,
yeah.
and if it's not going to be Punk, who else could it be? Could be AJ.
Oh, I mean,
People are talking about it. Oh, people are not like flooding my Twitter, but every other time I see them talking about Money in the Bank and Drew, like if Punk is beat within an inch of his life and he's still like trying to recover coming into SummerSlam, who better to fuck him over than AJ Lee? She's been known for throwing people off of ladders before, so
that one
wouldn't
is.
that be wild?
It would be wild. It would be wild. It just, for me, it would take a lot of convincing, because I feel like AJ takes a lot of convincing to get her back to the fold of this whole WWE thing. I think it takes a lot to convince her to come out of retirement. I don't even know how you would do it, but if Punk
Yeah.
if
It
Punk
can't be Punk again though. That's the problem. Like
of course.
that's 3 in a row now.
Yeah, he's got to lose his freaking mind. I mean, he
Now,
he
maybe
he tried to
mm,
kill him at that
yeah.
SmackDown episode, but
Yeah.
it really wasn't much. It didn't feel like he tried to
No.
put Punk in the grave, you know?
No, I feel like I mean, granted it would make sense though because he has like the AJ and Larry bracelet, so obviously Punk's going to want to come back at some point.
Mhm.
But what if everybody's expecting like again AJ or him to show up and like throw Drew off the ladder and like throw him off? What if all it has to happen is just have his music hit? The PTSD hits, Drew's just like, where the fuck is he? He's just like trying to look for him and takes his eye off the ball just for a second, just for
Mm.
somebody to knock him off that ladder and get the briefcase, which I'm thinking it's gonna be Jay. Like I feel like that's really the one that makes the most sense aside from Drew. But yeah, maybe Punk doesn't even have to do anything at all. He just has to hit the music and PTSD sets in for Drew and he's just too overly like paranoid of where he is. Takes the eye hit again, takes his eye off the ball and loses the title because or the title shot because still can't get Punk out of his mind.
I like that. I do like the AJ Lee idea where she can like come out from underneath the ring as Drew almost has his fingertips on the briefcase. She stops him, and then like you said, he gets distracted. He doesn't get the briefcase, and at the top of the stage is AJ Lee, and CM Punk holding Larry, like
Yeah,
you know,
Larry.
yeah, like
We
gloating,
love Larry.
yeah, like gloating. Larry is the
Larry.
ugliest, greatest dog I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, Larry's it's just so those teeth.
Yeah,
It's just those
we
teeth.
need we need a Larry and Pharaoh show. just
We really do
just,
though.
like have them interact and see how that goes. But I
I
would
love to
love
see
to
it.
see, like you said, to do something different because at the end of the day, like the symbolic taking of that bracelet does impact AJ Lee as much as it does CM Punk. And then
Mhm.
on top of that, he put her husband in the hospital. And she's
Yeah.
not just some run of the mill wife, this is AJ Lee, like,
Yeah.
she is who she is. So she can come in, cause that distraction because, like you said, everybody, including myself, will be assuming that it's going to happen again with Punk. But it happens with AJ Lee, who
Yeah.
has a dog in the fight, no pun intended. Drew
Yeah.
is he's losing his mind because on the top of the stage to close out the show is CM Punk and AJ Lee with Larry the dog having a grand old time at the expense of Drew McIntyre. And then maybe at SummerSlam, Drew McIntyre gets his revenge.
Maybe. Who knows? You never know. But yeah, I think it's gonna be Jay. I think Jay's gonna
Yeah, I think
take
Jay.
it.
I think Jay is the obvious answer because, like we keep saying, we have to have that sense of if he's main event Jay Uso, when is he gonna really shine in the main event?
Yeah,
You know,
exactly. It's gotta get a shot somehow.
right? And then that would set up. Maybe he doesn't do the long wait game for the cash in, and he chooses to have a match against Gunther. Like he cashes in on Gunther for an actual match.
Yeah.
That'd be a great match. But also, you can't forget to mention to to close out Monday Night Raw, Drew McIntyre not only said he was going to win the briefcase, but he's walking out of Toronto World Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Mm. So
Not if Punk and AJ and Larry have something to
but
say about it,
I,
we will.
I'm with you, but we can't not forget the fact that not only did he say he's going to win the briefcase, he basically said, "I'm cashing in that night and I'm walking out with the title."
Wouldn't it be oh my god, I just thought of something. Wouldn't it be hilarious if okay, nothing happens during the match and he wins the briefcase and Punk just gives him just a little bit of hope. He goes to cash in and Punk just absolutely fucks him over and he loses the shot.
Maybe that's better. Maybe
Oh my god, could you imagine how livid and then that just ends Money in the Bank with like an all-out brawl. Like they just start kicking the shit out of each other cuz you cost me my title yet again for the what third time? Like third time's a charm, but yeah, I just thought that might be even
that might
funnier if
I'm
like
going with that one. I'm going with that one. That's how.
because then like Drew wins it and everyone's like, "Oh shit, now Damien's like Damien's going to be in real trouble. Mom's going to get nervous. I'm going to get nervous." And then he just as it looks like he's about to come out and just as he's about to like or maybe like just when he goes to like cash in and they're like, "Oh, Drew McIntyre's cashing in his title." Then Punk shows up. The
Mm.
bell rings. It's too late. Punk shows up and then like he gets pinned or something and loses the title shot. That would it is so diabolical that it works.
Right, or they could do something where Drew comes in to cash in after well, depending on when the match happens, it would have to
Yeah.
happen before the it would have to happen before the Rollins Priest match. I think the Rollins
Yeah.
Priest match is going to have to main event the show, right?
If it does, then you know something's gonna happen.
Right. So what you would do is incorporate both ideas that you have in the sense that Drew wins the briefcase, no hullabaloo. He comes out to
Yeah.
cash in on Damian Priest. The moment the referee gives the briefcase, the announcer makes the announcement and the bell rings. As soon as the bell
Yes.
rings, CM Punk's music hits.
Mhm.
Drew's freaking out. He's trying to look for where CM Punk because he's not coming down to through the regular entrance. He loses focus. He ends up losing that opportunity with the Money in the Bank, and then CM Punk just pops out of nowhere, maybe by the commentary desk, sitting on the desk or whatever, or he
Yeah.
pops up on stage. He never even went to the ring to
Yeah.
distract Drew McIntyre. It was simply his music, like you said.
Yeah.
It
PTSD.
gave him PTSD, that TV static hit, and he just lost it. You know,
Yeah.
I think that's brilliant. I think
If it happens again, if we do this 2 pay-per-views in a row,
that
like, we might just need to retire at this point,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
we can't get any better than
yeah,
that.
that's actually brilliant. Because again, people are gonna bitch and complain that Punk screwed over Drew McIntyre again, and they'll look at it as if they're leaning too much on that. But I'm looking at the reaction that Drew McIntyre is supposed to give us. And that
Yeah.
reaction is this is a man who at this point he had things figured out and he thought shit was sweet, but it's not the case. So
Yeah.
this is time to go into mental breakdown mode, you know?
Oh, you thought he was mad at Clash at the Castle. Just imagine how mad he'll be if he gets screwed over yet again
Yet again,
at
because
Money in the
yeah,
Bank.
because Money in the Bank is a clear cut path to winning that title.
Mhm. So he thinks.
Oh man, I kind of have to change my prediction because I want that to happen so bad.
We could say we have 2.
Yeah,
We can have the fantasy booking prediction, and then we can have, like, the I don't know, I guess the realistic prediction, which would be Jay.
okay. We both say Jay realistically, fantasy booking chaos. We say Punk Drew McIntyre wins and then goes to cash in and Punk screws him over on the cash in.
Yeah, just like I said, if it literally happens, I will start laughing. I will literally start laughing. We'll just text each other and be like, "See, we did it. We did it
There
again."
you go. There you go,
And
lady.
then we're gonna be on Drew McIntyre's shit list, and then we're gonna have a problem.
Yeah,
But
yeah, because I can't outrun Drew McIntyre.
I can't either.
Yeah.
I can hide, but that's about it.
Yeah, it's not gonna be good for Drew McIntyre, but we both like chaos, so I kind of hope that
Yeah.
can happen. And yeah, that brings us to the end of our predictions for Saturday's Money in the Bank. They're going back to their regularly scheduled programming when it comes to the PLEs because this one's in Toronto. So I believe the pre-show starting at like 6:37. The main show starts at 8, but we'll be done by 10:45. He's not gonna Tony
Thank
Khan. Yeah,
God.
he's not gonna Tony Khan us.
No, thank God.
Yeah. Again, this is only a 5 match PLE card, and each of the matches. I mean, we've had the Bloodline 6 man and the men's Money in the Bank. We fantasy booked that to high hell. So
Yeah.
to have
As if one thing happens, we're vindicated.
yeah.
Just one.
But the idea of okay, we're fantasy booking storylines on a card. Again, it goes back to me saying that professional wrestling in terms of AEW and WWE are on 2 opposite ends of the spectrum and they both can be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, exactly. Just depends on the week,
Yeah.
it seems like.
Yeah, basically that's what it boils down to. But again, there you have it. It's our match ratings for Forbidden Door that happened this past Sunday and our predictions for Money in the Bank that's happening on Saturday. So what more could you want?
I don't know what more we could give.
we,
We did it. We did it all.
we did it all for you. Just to let you know, guys, you can find this podcast on all major podcast platforms. You can find it on basically any podcast platform like Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Audible, all of those platforms and more. You can find it, subscribe to it, hit the follow button, whatever is necessary. If you can't find it, don't worry, hit us up on social media. We're available on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at the handle Ringside Rundown. So shoot us a DM, let us know you use a platform and it's not available. I will get you a link to that platform on a silver platter, but the caveat is you have to give us back the silver platter because we only have one.
101.
101. Shay paid for it. It's very expensive.
Yeah.
She was very wise not to put it in my hands because I would mess it up.
It's engraved and
There
everything.
you go. There you go. So definitely hit us up on social media. You can hit me up if you want to talk wrestling with me individually at my Twitter handle at Wrestling Chron. That's Wrestling CHRON. Shay, where can they get in touch with you?
You can find me on Twitter at ShaileenHickson21.
There you go. And finally, just to let you guys know, like I said, we're available on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We're also available on YouTube where you can get full episodes, highlights, and highlights of the Twitch streams that I do. Yes, I do the Twitch streaming for all WWE and AEW shows. So check me out on Twitch, twitch.tv/ringside rundown. And again, we're available on YouTube and TikTok. Even TikTok, we're blowing up. It's crazy.
Nice.
And I don't have to do any stupid dances. Isn't that a miracle?
Oh, thank God. We don't need to be one of those. We don't need to be those influencers.
Yeah, we're definitely not one of those influencers. But if you want highlights from the Twitch streams and all that, you can go to TikTok and check that out. Please do so. Hit the follow button. I really, really appreciate it. And I know Shay does as well.
Yes.
So there you go.
Yes, I do.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's the episode for this week. Again, it's our match ratings for Forbidden Door, predictions for Money in the Bank. We got it all for you guys. We will see you next week. And I believe next week we're going to go back to our original format. Is that true?
Well, we got Money in the Bank to cover, so we might have to do like a half and a half.
Yeah, we'll
see.
Yeah, we'll do a halfie. That's a good idea because again, it's only 5 matches, so what the hell. But again,
yeah, why not?
Yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us for this episode. Share it amongst your friends. Let us know how you like it, and we will check you out next time. Take care, guys.
See you later, guys.